the Grad Guys podcast, the show that demystifies the competency-based interview process and settles interview anxiety by providing you with direction, guidance and support so you can interview with confidence. So hello everyone, welcome to our first ever podcast. This is our inaugural podcast. My name is Ash and I've also got with me my colleague.
Hello, I'm Pete.
And together we form the Grad Guys. So as this is our first podcast, we thought it'd be really good to sort of introduce ourselves, explain how we got here, our experience and why we're here. So Pete, do you want to pick up on, sort of what we do, what our aims are and what the Grad Guys are all about?
Yeah, thanks Ash. Well, basically, I'm Pete. I worked in the various jobs in the public sector for the last 14 years. And I think one of the things I noticed is how so many people just really find interviews difficult because they get so nervous. And I think it's something that I really want to address because I've seen so many good people in the past not get the jobs they deserve because they haven't been able to perform as well as they could do because they get so nervous. I mean, I've suffered horrendous with like interview nerves. Like I've been on the train on the way there, having to get off to be sick on the side of the platform and things like that because I used to get so nervous. But I think that nervousness comes down from not knowing the interview process. And I think that's something that we can really help with. Definitely.
Yeah, I think like you've hit the nail on the head there. Interview nerves, anxiety, lack of confidence are a really big thing. And I echo that. I agree with that. That's one of the reasons that, I'm really interested in this topic and, why we're doing what we're doing. I've seen so many good candidates just, that would be really good at the job, just not make the final grade purely for the fact they failed to prepare. And then, you end up with probably a lower quality candidate actually fulfilling that role just because they know how to prepare for an interview. And, that may come across as unfair, but ultimately you've got to do the groundwork, haven't you? You've got to prepare for an interview. And if you don't, that's what you end up running that risk, don't you? Of someone else getting the job, someone else getting ahead of you.
Yeah, definitely. I think like we've both interviewed a lot of people, like we've interviewed people together, and you can really tell the people that have prepared properly against those that haven't. And it doesn't actually take that much to prepare. It really doesn't. You've just got to understand interview. You've got to demystify it. You've got to understand interview. For public sector interviews, you've got to know the STAR model. You've got to understand it. And then you've just got to structure your answers properly. But also it's about being relaxed enough in the interview to be yourself. And I think that's something we can really help with. I mean, I really believe in mindfulness. I do a lot of work on my own mindfulness. I know you do as well. And I think that's something we can bring to, as well as knowing the interview process, to have a good appreciation of mindfulness, to make sure you're relaxed before you go in there so that you can perform your best.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really good mentioning that. I mean, it's probably a really good time to mention, why we're different to what's out there. Obviously, we've come up with a 6-step methodology, and one of those is around mindset and mindfulness, as you've just mentioned there. But it's also getting to know who you are as a person. So, like, who am I? And what direction do I want to go in? And then we obviously look at the preparation of the interview, behavior in the interview, and the interview itself, demystifying the process, the actual physicality of being in that interview. So I think that's mindset is a huge part of, I think, all of those themes that we're going to be looking at.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and that mindset does come from knowing who you are and what you want, because I was a graduate. I was a graduate a long time ago, but I have been a graduate, and I know when you've been through all that, when you've had your life mapped out for you, you're suddenly at a stage where you're kind of like, what do I do now? And it can seem very overwhelming. But I think by knowing what you want and we can help you establish what you need to do to find that direction, I think that's something really important as well, because that will, when you do go into interview, you'll know what you want, you'll know who you are. And I think that comes across so well to an interviewer, someone that really wants the job and because that's what they want to do. It blows interviews away because they feel that you want to work for them.
It's a lot natural, and you come across as really wanting that job. And again, that you've prepped for it, you've put the time and effort in, and it shows how bad you want it. Completely agree. So a lot of our listeners will probably be thinking, so why would we go to the Grad Guys? What are they going to offer that no one else does? So what could you say to someone thinking that right now?
Well, I know that we offer a lot of experience. We've both worked in the public sector extensively. And our 6-step methodology is different from whatever else is out there, because we focus on we've used our experience to build this material and to make it an easy process from going from that sort of mindset of, I don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure about interview. I lack the experience. I feel like I lack the experience that I need to get this job. But we show that you do have that experience. We give you that direction. We take away those interview nerves as well. I think that's something really important, because a lot of other things out there, they don't even take into account about interview nerves and anxiety. But for me, it's a massive thing. And I think we talk about that. We talk about methods to overcome that. And then we talk about the interview process. And we use all our years of experience to guide you through that interview process. The other thing you get me and Ash as well. We're quite personable, and we're very approachable, and we're willing to share with you all our experiences to get you through to your dream job that you want.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Pete. I think you're absolutely right there. Obviously, we do bring that expertise and experience of the public sector. We've been through numerous interview processes ourselves. We've interviewed people as well. Like you said earlier, we've sat on interview panels together and actually interviewed different candidates. And we've seen, the best of both sides, haven't we? We've seen candidates interview really well. We've seen sort of middle of the road candidates, and then some that completely flump it. A lot of the time through lack of preparation, or a combination of lack of preparation and the whole lack of confidence and anxiety issues. So I think that puts us in a really good position to give advice to people and help them along their career journey and their interview journey. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's certainly something I'm very passionate about, is making sure people achieve their best. And I truly believe that everyone has the power to achieve what they want to in life. You just have to work for it and work hard for it. And we offer that kind of guide that you need to make sure that you're working on the right stuff to succeed. And I think we're both very passionate about making people achieve their goals in life. And I think it's a great thing because we can really guide you with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pete, have you got an example of, an interview you've had where perhaps, it didn't quite go as well as you thought, perhaps it was anxiety or you didn't really understand the process? Have you got something you'd be willing to share to the listeners around?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you've got me here now. So you got me reliving some terrible moments in my life.
You can choose which one to.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got plenty of these experiences, but this is where we learn. This is what it's all about. It is going through these experiences, and hopefully, Ash and my experiences can make sure that you don't go through them. And if you do go through them, you know how to learn from them. I got one. I remember going for an interview once, and I thought, like, I read the kind of information that I had about the STAR model, and I remember getting into the interview. I answered the first question, okay, and then I got to the second question, and I just couldn't speak. I remember just not being able to speak. I completely threw up. I completely froze. I felt like I wanted to throw up. And I remember the interviewer kind of bearing down on me. I had 3 people interviewing me, and I could feel one just was pity in her eyes. I could see that. One was just glaring at me like I was wasting his time. And the other just looked confused because I just couldn't answer the question. And I thought I'd prepared, but looking back, I didn't prepare at all, really. I thought I'd read. I thought, oh, I know this is easy, but I just did not have a clue. And it was one of the most unpleasant experiences. I think we sat there for a token sort of 2 minutes, and it was the longest 2 minutes of my life, just not being able to talk. I literally couldn't think of anything to say, and it was horrendous. Now,
so awkward, isn't it? The silence is just so awkward.
It is. It's horrible. It's like the worst thing, because in your mind you're like, wow, I just can't, I don't know what they want to hear, and I just cannot think of anything to say. Absolutely horrendous. I didn't get the job, by the way, in case you're wondering. So, but yeah, it was horrible. But from that, I did do the right thing, and I spoke to the, I asked for feedback about that interview, and I got some very candid feedback, shall I say. I won't tell you exactly what he said, but there was a few swear words in that, but
not suitable for the airwaves.
Not suitable for the airwaves, no. But that set me on the path to wanting to know what to do in interview if I do get in that problem again. And I've never had that issue ever again, because I know how to get myself out of it now. And that's what that interview really sparked my interest in the interview process. And I thought, I don't want anyone else to have to go through this, because it was horrendous. I can tell you that for now.
Yeah, it's absolute hell, isn't it? And like we say, that silence, that awkward silence, 2 minutes can seem like 2 hours, and it's literally the most awful thing. And there'll be people out there listening that have experienced that, or they've come here because they don't want to experience that, and that's the main thing. You know, you want to get out of you don't even want that to happen. You want to avoid that at all costs, don't you?
Yeah.
So out of that experience, if there's two quick key takeaways for the listeners to take away, what would 2 key takeaways be from that you learned from that you took into your next interview and your subsequent interviews after that?
Yeah, the two key takeaways were: do your preparation, prepare. Going for an interview is like, I do a lot of running. I like running, and it's like training for a marathon. You've got to prepare. You don't just rock up to a marathon after running a couple of miles like once every month. You need to prepare. You need to put that time in to prepare. That is the most important thing. And then know how to answer a question in an interview. Know the right model to use to answer the question in an interview, because then you won't get stuck. That's the thing. You won't have those awkward moments of silence, because even if you kind of you don't fully understand the question at first, you get some time to think about the question. If you can answer confidently, you can be thinking in the back of your mind, oh, this is what they want to know. So do that preparation and know the interview process. After that interview, I said I got the feedback, and then I had really good feedback on what to do in an interview. So that's what I know now. So yeah, there's my 2 key bits.
Love it. Yeah, they're great. I love that running analogy. I think it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're trying to achieve, whether it's, like you say, running for a marathon or preparing for an interview. If you don't prep, you're going to fail. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You can. I think actually, and I've spoke on a couple of videos on the Facebook group before about the parallels between preparing for an interview and, preparing for sports. They're very similar. The whole mindset you need around interview preparation, having that goal at the end and preparing for that, very similar. So yeah, I like that analogy. And you mentioned the STAR model there. Obviously that's a massive that's the main competency based model out there, and that's going to be a huge part of what we discuss later down the line on further episodes. So we'll touch upon that in more detail over the next couple of episodes. Thanks for that, Pete. Is there anything else you want to touch upon in this first podcast that we haven't covered already?
Just that I want to say that, like, whatever you're feeling like with interviews and just that kind of when you've graduated and you don't know what to do, you feel like everyone else knows what they want to do and you're the only one that doesn't. Just believe me, like, you're not the only person. You're not the only person that feels interview nerves and anxiety, and you're not the only person that's not sure what they want to do with their life. That is the main thing. It's like, you're not alone. And that's what Ash and I want to do with this. We want to build a community so we can talk with each other about these problems. Because it can, like, let's be honest, it can feel quite lonely. Like when you feel like you're the only one that feels something, it can feel quite lonely, and you can feel quite disheartened, because you're like, well, I'm the only one that feels like this. No one else feels like this. But believe me, you're not. I've been there. Ash has been there, and you are not the only person. No,
it's very common. Everyone goes through this, and let's raise that awareness. Let's get more people talking. Let's get people, talking on the Facebook group and get the discussions going, because I think there's a lot we can all learn from each other, and help each other prep for interviews better, and get those dream jobs that we deserve at the end of the day. There's plenty of people out there work, they've worked their nuts off for years and years, going through university, putting so much time and effort into getting to where they want to be, and then the last hurdle fall over. And no one deserves that. If you put the time and effort in, you deserve to get where you want to be. And it's just continuing that hard work and effort, isn't it, into the interview process. You can't just think, I've left uni now, let's just forget about it. Now, this is one of the things I'm going to briefly touch upon. This might come across as rude, but I don't mean to be rude. We need to be blunt with this. Like, some people do feel like they're entitled to a job, don't they? They think, I've got a degree now, I'm just going to go into the big wide world and get a job. And unfortunately, that ain't what happens.
No.
Not what happens.
Again, I felt like that, Ash. I felt like that myself. I remember thinking, like, I know I can do this. Like, it's something that let's be honest, we've all been into interview going, I know I can do that job, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter. The interviewer, they don't care about what qualifications you've got or whatnot. They want to know. They want you to be able to perform in that interview, because that's their little window where they get to make their mind up whether you'll be a good employee for them. That's the thing. And if you go in with that mindset that you're entitled to something, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, you need to prepare. You need to think, I've got to work so hard to get this job that I'm going to smash it out of the park, and I'm going to put everything into it that I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Prepare and have a bit of humility around it as well.
Definitely.
I think is a key point there. No, it's been a great first discussion, Pete. I look forward to speaking with you again on the next one. And thanks for everyone that's tuned in and listened to this. We'll see you on the next podcast. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
We hope you found today's episode useful. If you did, then please be sure to leave a review, share and subscribe. You can also join our Facebook community by searching the Grad Guys, and also by checking out thegradguys.com. See you next time.